Yeah.
VeeFam, welcome back to another episode of the VeeFam Sessions. My name is Mr. Messer, but you can call me Rob, and I am so honored to be here with Jason Koeppel, aka Jay from VeeFriends,
Hmm.
former social for 1:37 p.m., producer of Card Talk Pod, and your current marketing manager for VeeFriends Cards. Jay, thank you so much for being here. How are you, brother?
Super pumped to be here. Love talking to you guys. Love the community. I mean, here's the interesting thing about the community that I always keep in mind and how much I love interacting with everybody is like without you guys, we don't have a job, right? Because like without support and without, the people who are consuming our content and, commenting and all that good stuff, we don't have a job. And my job really is to help take this thing, build it into the next Pokemon, right? Or even better, hopefully one day. So like, it's to have such great support from the start pretty much. It makes our jobs, that much easier and, to be able to try and grow this brand. And I know you guys are rooting for us and we're rooting for it to happen and we're trying to pull this off. I know this is Gary's dream for sure, but I'm 45 years old. I grew up as a kid loving sports cards, trading cards, all that stuff. I've created card content and now I have a role in trying to help build the next big card brand. And like, it's a dream come true, honestly. And I want to be successful at it. And I want, for the community that's shown how much faith they have with, buying the cards, collecting, investing, whatever they're doing. We're trying to make you guys proud.
I love that. And there's so much in there for both sides, the community looking at you guys, and to your point, you looking at the community. It's not your typical brand building dynamic.
Sure.
Everything's very front facing, of course, like you guys do a lot behind closed doors, but you know, everyone's watching all of the time. And with the NFTs and investing, there's a lot to it, and we'll get into it. But I always like, and you started to tease your collecting as a kid, but I always like to start at the beginning. So could you give us the 55-second cliff notes on who Jay is prior ever getting into Gary V Vayner 137 world?
Would love to. Sure. As a kid, I was a collector, loved baseball cards, loved the New York Mets growing up. So my PC, my personal collection at the time, my brother and I, we collected every Gary Carter baseball card that was ever made, going back to, interestingly enough, the 1975 set, which was Gary Carter's rookie that had like him and three other guys on the card. And that was like my prized possession as a kid. So like I grew up loving baseball cards. When I got to college, kind of stopped collecting, got out of the mix. And then at COVID, so after I graduated college, I graduated in September of 2001. I got back up to New York, and literally like 4 days later, September 11th happened, and
Wow.
like then the dot com, like boom kind of slowed down and the economy for graphic designers was tough to find a job. Like there was people that like, graphic designers 15, 20 years experience that were laid off that were taking entry level jobs just to get work. And like, as a college graduate with very little experience, it was hard to get a job. So I wasn't really, like I always was interested in entrepreneurial stuff. I always had like a snow shoveling route when I was a kid, and we used to do all kinds of, lemonade stands and all that stuff like any kid. But I kind of like fell backwards into the whole entrepreneur thing because it was really just survive, like I needed to make some money as a graphic designer. So I became a freelancer. And over the course of 20 plus years, never had to go work for anybody else. I worked on my own. I started a freelance graphic design and printing company, and I did that. I ran that successfully for 20 years. Most of my clients were bars and restaurants and nightclubs and things of that nature. I also had a sports magazine. That's how I got introduced to Gary and Tyler. I'm a huge Jets fan, so I ran a magazine that first only covered the Jets and then covered all of New York sports. And we used to do a lot of like road trips for the Jets and tailgates and things of that nature. And one time Tyler on Facebook was looking out for I believe it was for the Week 17 game in 2015 against the Bills up in Buffalo. We had a huge tailgate up there, and they were looking for a tailgate to join because they were going up there. I'm pretty sure it was that game, but if not, then it was some other big game that season. Yeah, I mean, like they linked up with us at that game, and then I stayed in touch with Tyler for years after that. So fast forward, just like loosely on Twitter, and fast forward to COVID, all my bars and restaurants were shut down. That all my clients, my magazine was shut down because sports was shut down. And I saw Tyler put a tweet up that 1:37 p.m. was looking for some design help. And I hit him up in the DMs, and I was like, Ty, look, I love you guys. I would love to come work with you guys. Plus, I'm sitting around doing nothing all day but collecting on them, and I'm losing my mind. Like I need something to do. And Ty was like, look, it's an entry level job. It's really not for somebody of your like experience level. Like, we're looking for somebody like right out of college. And I was like, look, dude, then you're going to get an entry level, you're going to get a professional designer at an entry level salary right now. And then we'll readdress hopefully when things open back up. But I got nothing going on right now. So it's like, let's just do it. And it took a little while to convince him, but he finally hired me at 1:37 p.m. I started like stalking his email. I was like, Ty, let's go, man. Let's make the hire. So finally, I got in, and he told me right away, like, hey, listen, Gary's hot on sports cards. I know you're a bit of a collector, and if you want to get like make your name in this company, get studied up fast and get yourself, get full knowledge of sports cards. So, I definitely did. I didn't know what was going to happen in the future with, my companies and everything. So I was just going to grind and work my ass off to try and work my way up, inside of 1:37 p.m. And, I did that. I started studying all the breakers and watching all the sports content that I could possibly consume hours and hours and hours a day. And they put me in charge of producing Card Talk. And I learned so much from Ryan Johnson, Card Collector 2, and Tyler and Lou and Gary and everybody going to the Nationals and stuff like that. And I built a strong knowledge of the sports card world. And unfortunately, things didn't work out as a whole at 1:37 p.m. But after 1:37 p.m. shut the doors, Gary and I spoke, and Andy and Tyler, I guess Andy and Tyler, they said, hey, you can't let Jay go. Let's bring him aboard. And it's been a dream come true since. Honestly, it's my dream job. And I'm again, like, I got to pinch myself daily that I'm like helping to build like this next huge trading card brand and just IP in general. I mean, it's just a lot of fun. The my coworkers are amazing, and Gary's amazing, and the community's amazing. So what could be wrong? I get to live my dream all day.
That's amazing, and a really cool story with the tailgate. So that's how you met. You met via that tailgate.
Mm-hmm.
No communication before. And prior to that, like, did you know? I mean, I know you said you were entrepreneur, and it's Blue Jay Printing, right?
Yep.
And I saw, did you create something for a Francesa? I saw like in my like research, I saw like a Francesa Bernie Williams event thing. You
Dude,
made
I've
that?
done so many events with athletes and yeah, I used to. So I do a lot of the design and printing for a lot of the bars at the Jersey Shore. Like a lot of those events with Francesa at Bar A and stuff like that. I've done a lot of the like event promotion and stuff behind those events.
That's
My
amazing.
cat's going crazy.
I grew up in like entertainment publicity. Like my internships, I was around a lot of celebrities, and like it never really like shook me. But for some reason, like I maybe because I've consumed so much Francesa in my life, like when I saw him at an event, I was like so jarred. I mean, he's just like this immortal figure.
Dude, it's seriously because I grew up listening to 660 and Mike and the Mad Dog. I mean, it was like the soundtrack of my every car ride with my dad growing up, like I loved Mike and the Mad Dog. And then
Yeah.
now that I live in Florida, I'm close by Met Spring Training, so I get to go up there. And one day I ran into Francesa there, and we were talking for a while. He gets a lot of crap, but like he could not have possibly been nicer to me, and he didn't have to be nice to me. I mean, he was
Yeah.
surrounded by a whole bunch of people, but like we had a really nice conversation. Mike Francesa and I, so that was fun.
Oh, that's so nice to hear.
Yeah.
I took myself off track there, but prior to the Tyler Jets thing, did you know about Gary?
Yeah.
Did you run into any of his content? All right, so
So
were
here's
you
what happened with that. In
okay?
2014, the year before, like I actually met them. I'm like good friends with Fireman Ed, the Jets legendary super fan. I actually do a Jets podcast with him. He was one of like my partners in the Jets stuff I was doing and everything. But he's a great dude. And him and Gary ran into each other at a game. I believe it was like the Indianapolis Colts game, and they were doing like Jets chants. And Gary was texting me. I'm sorry, not Gary. Ed was texting me, dude, do you know this guy Gary? He's like going to be the next owner of the Jets. And I was like, really? I was like, I got to check this guy out. So that's how I found out about Gary. And then I really, from like the first minute I started watching his content, I was, I connected with him because Gary and I are a similar age. We both grew up in Jersey. We both grew up Jets fans. We do have a lot in common, I think, kind of love the same music and the shows and movies and all that. When I hear him talking, it's like, he talks about all the same stuff that me and my boys talk about. So like, he was very relatable. I know he's been very successful, but like, I think that's what everybody loves about him is like, you see a lot of people out there that kind of, celebrities and influencers and stuff like that don't want to give anyone like the time of day. And Gary's just so generous with his time but he comes across as like the everyman, right? Like you feel like you're talking to one of your boys,
Of
and
course.
he's a good dude and he's relatable, and so between that and his positive message, his positive energy, and like, as an entrepreneur, like, just listening to a lot of his content, it spoke to me. So when I was able to invite them to the tailgate, even though it was 2015, it was a big thing to have them, consider coming by. And at one point, it was funny. I got an order. We sold a lot of T-shirts with Jets players. We did like I befriended a lot of like the rookies and everything just through social media back then. And then I partnered with them. We sold a lot of merchandise for Jets players, and gave them a cut of the royalties and everything. And it was fun. And one day we got an order from Gary Vaynerchuk, and I was like, "No shit, Gary ordered one of my shirts." So I hit up Tyler, and I was like, "Tyler, Gary just ordered one of my shirts. There's no chance that, first of all, that I'm letting him pay for that. I'm canceling his order, and I'm driving into the city right now to Hudson Yards, and I'm gonna give you guys I think it was 2016 at that point. I was like, I'm gonna give you guys a box of merch if he wants to wear it. And I took it to, I think it was like right when they moved into Hudson Yards. Tyler met me downstairs, so that was like my first encounter, really, like face to face with Ty. I mean, we
That
tailgated, but like, it was like everyone was doing their own thing that day.
right. What a cool story.
Yeah.
I didn't realize your deep connections to serious Jet nation there. Fireman Ed is, I mean, he's on the Mount Rushmore over there.
Yeah, guy's a legend.
So you get this gig. I love it because you don't fit, and I'm older too, left the career and like kind of pivoted. So like I can relate, but you don't fit the mold as a typical like I mean, just look around Hudson Yards. Like
Hmm.
you don't fit that mold of some gonna work for free, work for nothing at 20, and grind and do that. So I freaking love that. So you're doing is it socials for the 1:37 p.m. and you're producing Card Talk
Yeah,
Pod.
so I was their sports and collectibles editor. So like
Got it.
any articles or content that was going up on Card Talk, it was me and Courtney. We're doing all that on Card Talk. We were both producing the show, and then we had like a Bobby came along later on. So like, he was another producer of the show. But yeah, we were writing tons of articles and tons of like, all the eBay sponsorship stuff. I mean, we had a big
Hmm.
eBay sponsorship with Card Talk for the first like 2 seasons. So there was a lot of content and things that went along with keeping them happy, and it was great because by creating that content, I was also like studying and learning a lot and consuming just an unbelievable amount of information about the sports and collectibles hobby in general. And it's made me. I mean, geez, like, to the amount of like information and the amount of like learning that I've done since I've been here. I mean, I'm here almost 5 years now, and it's been like, I can't even tell you how much more I learned in these 5 years than I did in like my 4.5 years of college. It's just
I can
incomparable.
imagine.
Just being around so many talented people, and like you said, all these young people, they keep me young. I'm 45 years old, so like, I'm definitely a little bit like, more seasoned than the rest of them, I
Yeah,
would say, but in the best way. Like it's the squad, it's my team. They keep me young, and it's great. I'm having so much fun over there.
that's amazing. So, just for the audience, if you're listening, because there's people new and old that are going to listen to this, when Gary gets hot on something and it's confirmed, he yells it from the rooftop over and over and over again. And in 19 and 20, so before COVID and then especially during COVID, he was screaming sports cards, screaming, buy Giannis, buy Giannis, buy Giannis, buy Luca, buy Luca, buy Luca, go into the niches, you know, Pokemon, everything. And a lot of people did very well. And it really shifted the card market. And when people look to that era of like, hey, like cards are back, like cards are a cool thing again, a lot of people would say Gary had a big part to do with that. And the content I was following along with 137 too. Like you guys had a lot of great digestible content. I don't know if you know this. I have some writing credits. I worked with Web3. Like I reported to Erica.
Oh wow.
I did some articles over there, but like it was a really cool thing. Like there was cool documentaries. The Becoming Beeple doc was
Yeah, the
really
best.
really big hit. It was a lot of cool things happening over there. So like from that era, and whether it's Card Talk Pod, which is, by the way, anytime I look at a piece of content from on the IG or whatever from Card Talk Pod, there's like at least a dozen comments like bring it back, bring it back.
Can I tell you something, Rob, about
Yeah.
that? Interestingly enough, The funny thing about like when Tyler told me, "Hey, listen, like you're gonna be the producer of Card Talk," I never produced a podcast before. I like the only video editing experience I had was like the most basic like iMovie. Like I had no clue how to use Premiere. I had no clue how to like do. I was a graphic designer. Like I was a flat graphic designer. So like all the video editing and all the stuff that I've done, I've learned since I've been here because I wanted to be, better at my craft, So like I literally taught myself Premiere by just watching YouTube and just like making content. So like when Gary says like make content, make content, make content, like don't think about it, just keep making content. I just try to get better with each piece of content that I've been making. So like, it's this place is it's amazing. It really is. And I keep learning every day and I feel like I keep getting better every day, better than the day before and that's always the goal.
Uh, that's so cool, and it's so funny to hear you say that because over and over, like I'm in the 70s right now of talking to people about this, and the Tylers and the Andys, a lot of people have come through, and like the one constant thing is like just the trust that when you enter that world that the amount of rope that they give to you, and say run, learn,
Mhm.
make, create. So it's you know they're drinking the Kool-Aid, and I love it. I mean, good things are coming from it. So, first of all, like, could you just for a sec, what does that even mean? Like, if someone produces a podcast, what does that entail?
Oh, there's a lot, especially with Tyler, Ryan, and Lou are a whole different animal, man. It
Right.
was a lot of fun. I will say that. We had to prepare the show. I mean, we had to know like all the producers. We had to kind of know be at the pulse of what was going on in the hobby, so that we could create content that was relevant for the hobby. Now, having Ryan associated with it because of who he is in the hobby, definitely helped because he was always completely tuned in on what was going
Mm-hmm.
on. But like we had to, come up with segments. I mean, there was a lot of like pre-production that went into a lot of those segments to like, we did like the over under segments and we had to like find all the
Sure.
cards and put the thing together. What some of the things that took the longest and were the most rewarding and the most fun were like those season recaps where like I would have to comb through like 25 episodes, 35 episodes of podcasts to find like the 10 or 15 best moments and clip them. And, there was, so all that pre-production is off, post-production editing, like putting the actual, taking the raw footage and editing it up and cutting it up. And, at the end we started, putting a lot more production into it with like the overlays and making it look kind of like, the McAfee show and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. But then there was also, we had audio producers that made sure that, for the audio pods that they sounded crystal clear. Judy was great with that. Matt Bogart also. We had a really strong team behind it. I think that we made Look, I'm really proud of Card Talk. We're going out there to Grove City, Ohio on the 10th, and I'm hoping, I know Tyler's going, I'm going, Bobby's going. I'm not sure if Courtney's going, but I know that hopefully Lou's going, and, potentially get a little alpha here.
Reunion show.
Potentially, hopefully, I'm praying for it. We may be able to get a little reunion pod in Grove City. That would be amazing.
That would be a nice pop. That
Yeah,
would be
that
good.
would make me really happy. I had to remember, like we're like all best of friends still. Like nothing had, there was no internal rifts or anything like that
Hmm.
that broke it up. It's just, unfortunately, 1:37 p.m. is no longer a thing and whatever. But we all text each other all the time. We're all great friends. We had the wedding. At my they were all at my wedding. We were all
Hmm.
ripping cards and everything. It was great.
Is Ryan? I know Ryan's deep. Like I was a big Ryan follower. I still am. Is he into VeeFriends at all?
Yeah, totally. There's
Yeah.
Ryan has a little history with VeeFriends. I don't know if you knew this. He like years ago, he came to New York and ripped open one of the first Series 1 boxes, the Zero Cool Series 1 boxes, and with Gary in his office. It was the first time Ryan had ever been to New York. Ryan loves Gary's content, loves huge
Yeah.
fan of Gary in general. And they opened up what's one of the most classic moments in Card Talk history. They opened up a box. Gary was passing the card, or Ryan went to grab the card from Gary. It was a big card, and he dropped it, and it fell on the ground, and we were like, "Oh, PSA 4," like it was a moment, and so yeah,
How have I missed this?
he's a big fan. I mean, he's not a huge collector, I don't think, not yet at least. He definitely has some VeeFriends cards though, And I'm sure, having Gary out there in Grove City, to 2 days after the release of VeeFriends Chrome, I think is going to be a special moment that Ryle always remember for sure. If not as a huge VeeFriends collector, but certainly as a huge Gary V fan.
Hmm. So that's cool to hear. And I can't believe I probably seen that video and I just can't think about it, but that seems like a cool moment. So you start March, according to your LinkedIn, March of last year officially with VeeFriends. Prior to that, um, you're in it at 137. Are you keeping up with VeeFriends? Are you did you get into crypto? Like you
Yeah.
had a pulse on the whole ecosystem?
Look, if it was collectible and it was going on around the V world,
You're in it.
not necessarily in it, but certainly like aware of what was going on and curious. I always stayed. That was the one. That was like the motto. 1:37 p.m. was stay curious. I was curious about everything. So
Hmm.
I have some ETH. I think I'm sitting on a nice little pile of ETH that I plan on holding on to for a long time. I own a couple spec Series 2 VeeFriends that I purchased that, when I minted on release. So I have Focused Falcon Emerald and, I have two specs, but both Focused Falcons. I have
Nice.
I could show you, but I have a really nice collection of cards that I've bought. I was buying cards. So like at the 2022 National, my wife ripped the one of one out of the Wizard Pack, the Practical Peacock.
Oh
So that was
wow,
pretty
that's
cool.
cool.
Yeah, and
Those packs are forgotten about.
don't
Everyone's just
sleep on
talking about.
those. They're
Yeah,
fun. They're limited. My wife ripped this one not too long ago. She was on a nice little run of.
she's got the hot hands.
She ripped three very lucky black cats in 4 packs spread out over like an entire year. Like she doesn't rip very many packs, but every time I give her a pack, she rips a black cat. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I wish I knew how that was possible because every pack I rip, I am so unlucky with ripping. So I buy some singles, but I bought the entire. See, I bought and traded my way up at what was it com no at Fanatics Fest for the entire Prospective Pigeon super sticker set.
Nice.
CGC 10 on all of them, and I have fun. I don't have very many Series 1 cards though. I think I only have one or two Series 1 cores. So
I
I got to get
think
up to speed on my Series 1 collecting.
yeah, well we were just talking I had Jay and Tom from To the Moon
Hmm.
on last night. Um and we were talking about this is definitely fun, cardboard summer 2.0 coming up, but it's definitely the zig to all of this is to get Series 1 cards while they're on wholesale right now while everyone's staring at Topps Chrome.
Oh yeah.
So, all right. So you enter this card world. You said you had to sit down with Tyler and Andy and the boys. What was that conversation like? What was your role going to be?
I don't think we knew at first, honestly. See, that was the thing. Like when I think like I was brought on as a freelancer at first before I was brought on full time at VFriends just to see how things were going to work out. I believe because I ideally like you were saying before, it's a little bit of a strange fit, in some ways, with me being in Florida, most importantly,
Hmm.
it's tough when you're in content to not be around the team and and filming in person and stuff like that. But we showed pretty fast, I think, that we can make it work for sure and work effectively. I put everything into it, man, every day. It's like whether I'm in Florida or New Jersey or New York or wherever I am, they're gonna get my best effort. I mean, I think I'm even more efficient at home just because like I literally close the door behind me and just get to work, like
Yeah.
I don't have any distractions. Sometimes when I'm in an office, people want to chat and talk and stuff like that, and that's always fun, like for the culture and the vibes. I mean, that's real all important stuff too. That's why I try to get up to New York as much as possible. And if the team needs me anywhere, I make sure to get on a plane and fly out there. If it's the national or wherever they need me, I get over there. So I think they just wanted a little test period to make sure that it was the right fit, and pretty quickly, I guess we figured out that it would be a good fit, and here I am.
Yeah. And I think we're better for it because you know, for you know, for a while, the or let me put it this way, there's a clear mini era where the content in the VFriends Cards world really elevated. Um, from generic like just eBay sales or like, a clip from the stream to way more, production value, information, entertainment, highlighting the community, like over under games. And I don't know like who was in charge of it when, but I know a variable in that was you coming in. So from the people that pay attention, like myself and other people in the card world, like there's a clear elevation in that. And I know the team's grown and more resources have probably been put into it in last year, but you're one of the variables. So I have to call
I
that out.
appreciate that, Rob. But I think it's important to point out like that while I think it was just part of an overall stronger emphasis on making sure the
Content.
content got out there. Like Bobby came aboard around the same time as me. Bobby's like my right hand man, and him and I we lock in on the daily, constantly communicating, phone, text, Slack, every which way, and he's constantly noticing trends and he's feeding them to me, and I'm trying to, you know, turn those into things that that like we find content that we like and we try to, I don't want to say copy because that's definitely not right, but use it as inspiration to create similar types of
Sure.
content. And and so when we see a certain style we like, we try to emulate it or whatever. And then also, May came along, and she for sure leveled up my game as an editor, and having her to chat with on a daily basis and shoot content ideas and content off of and get feedback. I mean, that's all really important. So like, yeah, I mean, definitely I feel like a strong part of the engine, but like there's so many pieces around us that, around me that make it all, like polished, and I think that I feel really proud and really confident about like what we've been putting out, especially lately. It took me a while to get, into understanding what it is that the community wants, and what it is that Gary wants, and what it is that May and Andy and everybody want. And we're still learning every day, so we're trying to get better every day also. I think, yeah, I think you're right though. Like, just as, I mean, that's only natural though, right? Like if you're trying to get better every day and you look back at what you were doing 6 months ago, what you're doing now should definitely be better than what you were doing 6 months ago, which makes me excited for what's going to be in 6 months from now when we look
Totally.
back and this was just okay work, and we just keep getting better and better. So that's the
Hmm.
goal.
Was there over the course of the 8, 12 months, whatever it's been, is there like a specific, from like a marketing perspective, is there a specific like data point or something that jumped out at you as a surprise for what worked with this particular community that maybe wouldn't work with a traditional card community, or maybe, I don't know, maybe something just like a fun tidbit that struck you like, wow, this is interesting.
It's an interesting question. The algorithm is interesting. Like trying to learn the algorithm, and once you think you conquered it, then it changes, and you got to relearn it, and just constantly be shifting and adjusting on the fly. Sometimes videos that like I don't feel that strong about, you post them and they get an unbelievable amount of views and comments. And sometimes, you feel great about a piece of content. You're like, holy shit, this is gonna crush. And then you post it, and you're like, where are the views? Where are the
Yeah.
comments? So like
Yeah. We all know that feeling.
it's really bizarre, and there's really no rhyme or reason to it. And that's why it's just a game of consistency, right? It's just keep plugging along. Don't get too high after your wins, and don't get too down if something doesn't hit. Just try to pull some learnings from it and try and adjust it for a future piece of content. I mean, but it is crazy, man. Like the funniest thing is I think Andy's favorite piece of content that I've created so far was that Wheel of Fortune one I did, where like I literally saw that trend going. It was like I forget what the guy said. He was like, "Have yourself some sausage" or something like that on, but it was like
Yeah.
ridiculous. So I just changed it to "Have yourself a pack of VeeFriends cards," and literally the dumbest piece of content that like took me like 5 minutes to make, but it was like genius in its own little like funny way, because that's what like those are the types of things that hit on TikTok. And of course it was like the biggest TikTok and biggest like Instagram post we had in like a long time. And then you go out and you interview, Alex Rodriguez, and like, you make this piece of content, you're like, this is gonna absolutely crush, and like that Wheel of Fortune thing did more views and more engagement than the Alex Rodriguez. So what do you know? You just gotta keep cooking.
You never know.
Yeah.
Do you're technically the marketing manager for VeeFriends
Cards.
card? So are we operating on like two different companies essentially? Is that like,
No, not
or
really. I mean, we
It's
have,
just the card
everyone's
department.
got their team and everything, but we operate as a, as a unit. I mean, it's just kind of like myself and Bobby handle a lot of the cards related stuff, but we definitely have a lot of help. I mean, we have the design team helps us out. We get all kinds of like fun graphics from them, and we have editors that help us out and freelancers, and we have like like I said, May oversees it all. She does a lot of the stuff on VeeFriends main, but we collab a lot. We have meetings where we go, we try to shoot ideas off each other and try and improve everybody's content. So it's still a
Mm.
team. We're not really, two separate things.
I'm a big fan of Bobby. I've never met him, but I'm a big fan. Like I remember in the spring, I texted Corso because after being like a very basic account with just like announcements, the VCon Twitter, like all of a sudden it got super active, like interacting with the community, commenting on things. I was like, so I texted Corso. I was like, "What's going on with this VCon account?" And he's like, "It's this kid Bobby is running it." And like from then on, I was like, "I like Bobby."
Bobby is I give Bobby his flowers. I mean, he's just out of, recently out of college. He's got a lot of energy, and it's all good energy. His heart is 1,000,000,000% in the right place. He grinds. He works, day and night. I mean, he will put in the work. He spots trends. He's up to date on all that stuff. I mean, I go to war with Bobby all day. He's my right hand guy, and like, if not for Bobby, if I didn't have Bobby, as my partner in this operation over here that is the VeeFriends Card Squad, it'd be tough because he a lot of the things I don't do so well, he does well, and
Hmm.
he's organized, stays on top of things, and he's like the perfect right hand man for me. So like hoping that like for a really long time we can keep this thing together and like I was saying before, turn this thing into what we all want it to be, right? Is a
Yeah.
mainstream, seeing this thing at checkout at Target and Walmart and every possible place you could see it. Kids ripping packs open, like we used to do with Topps baseball cards packs when I was, walking out of 7-Eleven when I was a kid.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
they were everywhere.
No, he definitely gets it, and it's a strange. And I kind of alluded this earlier. Like it's not a typical like we're building a brand and we're just gonna feed it to you. Like there's the community is such a living, breathing thing, and there's an army of ambassadors that, like to your point, want to see it do well. Making their own content, trying to get into card shops, calling card shops, sharing it with their families, their friends. There's dozens or hundreds, we'll say, of people trying to do this, kind of working for the cause, just on the other side of the fence.
And it's all with the best thoughts and the best energy, right? Like everybody just
Exactly.
wants to see the community and the dream succeed. I mean, like, dude, it's not, it really is not lost on me. I was saying, like, kind of alluding to it before, but like, this is probably going to be my only chance in my life to help build something like this. And like, it's I really treat like every day like that, where like it's you show up and you just want to like get it that much closer to that end goal, right? And when I see the community members and I see it, I love it. I respect it. People like Ambag getting on the phone and calling the local shops and people
Hmm.
letting us know, like, hey, I've been calling around. I'm trying to make sure that these people know you got to pick this stuff up. The more that the shops hear that, of course, they're going to want to buy it. If there's buzz and energy behind a product, you're going to want to stock it. And that's amazing work that the community is doing. It's great for everybody because I know it hasn't been announced yet. You'll find out soon when you see the price of this stuff and how relatively affordable it's going to be compared to most other products that are out there and what people are used to paying for, for even for VeeFriends products but just in general, like what it costs for a box of Prism, a box,
Right.
it's like wild. And not just the price value, but the value that you're going to get inside of that box. And not by value, I don't mean like the value of the cards, but just the amount of fun that this set is and that people will have opening these packs and the things that they'll be searching for. It's not just base cards, and the inserts are really well thought out. The best inserts, I'm not going to give this alpha out, but I'll give you a little hint. The best inserts haven't even been talked about yet. So just wait till you see what's coming. And there's like, I mean, the chasers and the special things that are going on in there that you'll find out about soon. I mean, it's going to be so much fun. It'd be like Willy Wonka and the
Yeah.
golden ticket, right? There's going to be some things in there that people are going to be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe, so and so pulled that." And I can't wait to start seeing those videos. And for a long time we've had a lot of like really fun stuff. We've had, the super sticker pulls, and we've had the pins and all that stuff, and a lot of Series 2 packs. But like, there hasn't been a card released, besides the stickers really since 2022 when Series 2 came out.
2022.
And now
That's a
we
good
still
call out.
got
Yeah.
the content. You want to talk about leveling up the content? As a content creator, it's like going to be like Christmas Day on the 7th, man. I can't wait to start posting
Yeah,
some of that
no,
content.
it's definitely an exciting day. I think, I've been kind of coining in like streams and chats and things, and I've been coining this as like the end of the BTC, the before Topps Chrome era, because things are just going to be different
Mhm.
after this. Like it's going to be a real moment.
I hope so.
One of the things I did want to call as content, like it's been super fun to see um the VeeFriends cards being introduced to people, notable rappers. The Pat McAfee stuff is fantastic when him and AJ will riff on, the Petty Pony and stuff like that. And yeah, so you had Dylan
All right,
Cruz and
horse.
the A-Rod thing and the Costco guys. Is I'm never gonna bring anyone and ask you about Alpha or how the sausage is made, but as far as strategic wise, like high level, is this you saying like we got to get to this event and get cards in front of these people and do these trades and make this video? Is it someone else? Like I don't know if you want to talk about any instance specifically, but just like and even
super happy to talk about it. I can tell you, I'm very happy to answer that.
yeah, like I think everyone would love a little behind the curtain of any one of those that I just mentioned,
Yeah, I got you.
like the origin story of how it became that piece of content.
So I don't know if it's just because of like I have a lot of experience dealing with, you know, athletes, things like that, just from previous history of, working with a lot. So I don't really get like starstruck, like it's just like I treat them just like they're
Sure.
regular people, just like I'm talking to you. Like I have the same conversation with AJ and Big Justice or Alex Rodriguez or whoever. So like, but at the same time, the introductions come from, you know, I'll give you two examples just to give you an idea. But like the Costco guys, they were in the office having nothing to do with me. They were in there to see Gary, and they stopped by the studio, and then they ripped some cards. So we made a piece of content with that, and then I went into the DMs and I thanked AJ and I thanked them for coming by. And I knew they were in Boca, which is like 20 minutes for me in West Palm, or 25 minutes. So I said to him, I was like, hey, man, here's this clip. If you guys want to collab with us, let me know. And he was like, definitely. And I was like, cool. By the way, I know you guys live in Boca. I live in West Palm. If you guys ever want to make some content, like I'll bring some packs by, we'll rip, we'll do some fun stuff. And that's how that worked. So we wound up, we've gotten together a couple times at Costco. We did like 3.5 million views on that trade video. I mean, those guys are beasts.
Yeah.
So like, that was a lot of fun, and we become kind of friendly ever since, right? So like, I was over their place not too long ago in Boca, and we filmed some more fun content. They make fun of me, Gary and them, because they think I'm like the third Costco guy. But like with Alex Rodriguez, that was an interesting one because look, I'm always gonna shoot my shot. You're always gonna do better by asking than by not trying, right? So
Hmm.
like, I saw that Gary was going to be down here in Fort Lauderdale, the Aspire Tour, speaking on that day. And then I looked at the list of people because I was like, well, if Gary's going to be there, maybe he can introduce me to make some content with somebody else who's going to be there. Let's see who else. And Alex Rodriguez was on that list. So I texted Gary a picture of the flyer, and I was like, yo, G, I see you're going to be down here in Fort Lauderdale. I'd love to come make some content with you. And potentially, like, is there any chance that you can get me 10 minutes with A Rod? And no lie, like, 10 minutes later, there was an email chain going. It was like, yo, Alex, my guy's going to be in Fort Lauderdale and would love to rip some packs of VeeFriends cards with you. Any interest? And then I got an email back from Alexander Rodriguez, and it was like, I was like, yeah, I would love to make some content. Let's do it.
That's
So
cool.
we got connected with his with Alex Rodriguez people, and we made it happen. So I mean, the answer is like it's two part. Number one, obviously, being working for Vayner and Vayner X and VeeFriends, and it opens you up to being around a lot of influencers and people of that nature. And Gary's kind of has a a network of people that know him and love him, respect him, and if there's any way that, and also the other answer is we can provide some value to those people because for AJ and Big Justice or Alex Rodriguez or Annalie Waters, the pickleball player, like
Yeah,
there's a lot of them. I mean, even some of the Pokemon influencers like Ryan's Card House and Mystic Seven and some of those big creators. Look, I mean, they want content to go up as much as possible. Also, and we're going to give them a really nice, polished, professional piece of content that's associated with Gary, and that they can collab with us and get an extra piece of content out there, and it opens you know them up to our world of VeeFriends community members and everything that are probably happy to support, more happy to support than if like they had never heard of them. Like, here's an introduction to these people. And they seem cool.
sure.
So it works out well for everybody. You provide a little value to them. They provide, their minute or two of their time. And between that and Gary's connections, I always try. Like for all the ones that I've gotten, there's probably 8 or 9 of them that like, unfortunately weren't able to happen, but I'm, going to keep swinging the bat.
I love that. Well, yeah, keep it coming because it's super fun and it's different, and just brick by brick.
Hell yeah.
And to just put a bow on it, like people are trying to do this, like maybe they're listening to you and like getting an idea. It's much smaller scale. It might not be Alex Rodriguez, but it might be the manager of the sports and recreation store in their town
Mm-hmm.
that they're trying to spread the word that they're shooting their shot with. So
Always shoot your shot, man. Always,
always shoot your
always,
shot.
always. My wife, same thing. I I was in Charlotte for a Jets Panthers opening day game in 2021. It was the first Zach Wilson game, actually. It was the first game post COVID lockdown,
Hmm.
like back to the stadium game. And the night before, I met up with all my Jet fan friends. Fireman Ed was one of them. We met up at this bar in Charlotte, and the bartender, I was chatting with her all night, and everybody kept saying, "Bro, stop it! You're not picking up the bartender. It's not happening. Stop it!" And I was like, "Dude, I'm gonna shoot my shot. What's the difference? Like, what's the worst she's gonna say? No." And now we're married. So I mean, that's how life works, man. If you don't try, you're definitely. If you try, you might fail, but if you don't try, you're definitely gonna fail. So like, what the hell? You
Right.
might as well try.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a great story. Man, the Jets have brought a lot of great things into your life.
But she's a Patriots fan, so really, that was the weird part about it.
Oh, really? Um, yeah, I was looking at one of your posts and you had that Grail Tom Brady Chrome rookie. And I was curious about that. But
Sold
I
it.
mean, if you're a collector, you got to have it.
Sold it.
Oh, you did.
Sold it. Yep, sold it. I sold. So I've had some nice flips throughout the years. That was a nice one. I did well with that card. I bought that early COVID, one of the earlier cards that I got. But I have a Mahomes XRC. I have a Jack Nicholas PSA 10 rookie. That's a beast because there's only like 130 of them
PSA
because of
10.
condition.
Wow.
And I have I have some cool cards. I mean, but I sold a bunch. Okay, so I flipped a Disney Lorcana set. One of the original Disney Lorcana sets helped me pay for my wedding. That was a huge one. And a Carlos Alcaraz card was a nice one. So
That was, I mean, Lorcana was the hottest thing
I
for
know, I know.
a
I got
quick
one
minute.
right after D23. I was on en route to the 1:37 p.m. offsite with Tyler, as a matter of fact. We were sitting next to each other, and I said, Lou Janou is telling us about this new Disney Lorcana thing, and I looked it up on eBay, and these things were selling for like these promo sets from the D23, the Disney convention. They were selling for like $2,000, and I was like, dude, this could be something because they only made like a very short printed amount of those Disney sets, and I knew Disney collectors were out there, so I figured, what the hell, I'll take a shot. I bought them for 2 grand, dude. That was my biggest flip ever. I think I flipped that for like 14 and change, and
Wow.
like I said, helped pay for my wedding. It was awesome.
That's a similar path to what a lot of people flipped the first Series 1 box,
Oh, I know.
2150,
You know
and then
what's
they went up
crazy
to
about that? I
1520.
I wanted, of course, I wasn't working for VeeFriends, but I wanted a box. I thought for sure I would get one. I put in the blind Dutch auction. I put a bid in of 1,500, and it wasn't enough, man. I
Yeah.
was actually surprised. I thought I'd get one, but 2,150. I wish I got one. I
What was
still have yet to be able to. I haven't been involved in a break of a Series One box, and I haven't been involved in opening my own Series One box yet. And I'm the marketing manager, so I got to figure out at some point. I got to get myself a box for sure.
yeah,
Maybe on my birthday or something. I'll do it.
we got to get you into one. What was the trade with D-Rock What was the street side trade with D-Rock? I saw there's a video of
You did
that.
your research, huh?
Always, yeah.
That was good research right there. Dude, interestingly enough, that was a crazy trade. So what happened with that is I he had a whole bunch of Pokemon and he had a LeBron Chrome 10. A LeBron rookie
Mm.
Chrome 10 P10. I took the whole lot from him. I don't remember exactly how much. I probably shouldn't even say honestly because I don't like to talk too much about numbers, but like he needed ETH, I think, to because he wanted to buy some Series 2 VeeFriends. And so we did a little swap. We did card for ETH swap, and I got some really good Pokemon cards, first edition, all kinds of Red Cheeks, Pikachu's, and I didn't get any. I didn't have a Charizard, but I had a ton of like Pikachu's and things like that. And then I had I'm trying to think what else was in there. Definitely the LeBron Chrome 10 because I sold the LeBron at the same time I sold the Brady um, when right before my wedding.
Right. I mean, if you were around Gary during that era, like you were getting into cards, and no one probably had Gary in their ear more than D-Rock. So they're like, it's no surprising that he got his hands on all these cards.
Yeah, he
Um,
had some fun cards for sure.
I was a little late because first it was buy Giannis, buy Giannis, buy Giannis. I was into cards as a kid, but like so many people, I stepped away from it. And then I saw what was happening with Giannis, and then he was like, buy Luca, buy Luca, buy Luca. So I got in the Luca
I wish I
phase
listened.
and did pretty well.
I wasn't with Garrett when he was making that content. Like I was consuming it, but I wasn't. I was on my own, and money was just tight. Like
Yeah, of
I
course.
was running besides my printing company. I had a couple side hustles, and like I was still grinding with the side hustles, putting a bunch of money into that. So like I didn't really have too much money to be kind of getting involved in like trying to flip collectibles or even collect too much stuff because I was doing a lot of investing into myself and my businesses at that time. And then when I started working, like I said, when I started working for 1:37 p.m. and I started making all the card content, I started looking at some of those cards. I was like, these are cool. I gotta get my like, how am I gonna make content and not collect this stuff? I gotta buy some stuff. So like then I started buying, and dude, back then, man, in like 2020, the market was so hot. All you had to do for a while there was like discount, like shop in the $5 bins, right? And
Yeah.
you find like I remember there was a Dallas card show. Tyler was saying like in on the way to Dallas, he was like, dude, I don't know what it is about this Otani guy, but like I gotta start getting some Otani cards.
Mm,
And this was like when Otani was hurt. So like it was a lot of people were thinking like they weren't sure if he was gonna actually like become like a great player. He had talent and everything, but Tyler was like, I'm gonna start getting some Otani, but he didn't buy any Otani while I was out there after all that talking about Otani. But I did. I was going through all the discount bins and I was getting any Otani card I could find because they were all rookie cards, even base
yep.
cards. And you send it off to SGC or one of the grading companies that you could get your cards back from, and it was like you couldn't lose money. It was crazy. So there was so much flipping going on and just like buying raw to grade and selling that like
It-
you could build a unbelievable collection of cards just by reinvesting and just trading your way up pretty much. So that was a lot of fun, man. I had a real for a few years there, all of us, we had a lot of fun just like going to shows and buying and flipping and having a lot of fun with stuff, but like there wasn't like any real like at least for myself really any money made. It was just like really establishing like a really awesome collection, and we had
yeah.
I really had some fun stuff. Then later on down the line, when it was time to get serious, when I had my wedding coming up, I cashed some of it out. But yeah, there was some. I still have a great collection though. I mean, I have some really fun cards back here that I'll never sell. That just like you get nostalgic about things and you're like, oh, I remember was when I traded for this or when I bought this, and
Right. Sure, the
and
story behind it.
yeah, for sure. I really feel like that for me is the whole joy of collecting and being involved in any of this stuff. Yeah, it's fun to make a couple dollars here and there, but like the nostalgia, like I look at my collection, I'm like, oh my God, I remember that when my wife pulled that Practical Peacock 101 and how excited she was. And I remember when she pulled that Black Cat. And I remember when I was at, Fanatics Fest and trading my way up with the community to get to that the CGC 10 set and all that stuff. So those memories are what's the most fun part. I know that that exists a lot in the community because I see like the stories people tell and how excited they are. They get together in Texas and rip a Series 1 box and, and
Sure.
stuff like that. It's the core memories of that.
Yeah, I mean, just last night we rewatched with Tom and Jay when the first Black Cat was pulled, and how everybody was in the chat, like Gary, Andy, the team, Rips, but so many people from the community too, and it was like this event that everyone still remembers because we still haven't seen another spec Series 1.
I
Maybe
know.
that'll be your first card.
Dude, the funny thing I was thinking about before was what do you and I'll throw this question out to you. What do you think is going to be pulled first? What do you think has a better chance of being pulled ever actually? Here's a better question. The Ninja 1 of 1 Superfractor from the Topps Chrome promo packs or the Bounty Black Cat?
I think the Bounty Black Cat.
You think that'd be pulled first?
I'm secretly hoping that the Superfractor Ninja is like the mystery that lives on forever, and just like we go years and years
Like the
without
Steph
it
Curry,
popping up.
that's what the Steph Curry is. The Steph Curry rookie Superfractor
Has not seen the light of
has
day.
not seen the light of day. And same with the actually Sports Card Investor just did a piece about it for April Fools, but the 1 of 1 Luka Doncic Black Finite still hasn't appeared either. So like some of the biggest superfractor slash 1 of 1s of rookie cards still have never been pulled, and the
Mm,
lore of that just lives on. But I want to see that ninja pulled, man. I mean, just the
no,
content creator in me.
sure.
Could you imagine if Jay if that was the superfractor, how much crazier that moment would have been?
That I mean, the scream would have been not just higher, I would imagine.
She didn't know
Uh,
if that's what she had or not when she was screaming
right,
though.
but
That was
I
the
guess
funny part.
it would have been longer. The duration, she'd still be in a phase. Um, yeah, but like it's you could argue that it's like it was a giveaway, and someone could have just tossed it, you know,
Could
in
have.
in a pile of flyers or whatever.
It could just never have been open. Like somebody could have just dropped
Yeah,
that in their Comic Con bag and just like gotten home, just never opened it, right? Like could just be
it
just.
could just be sitting. Yeah,
It's crazy to think, right? But
but the historian in me and the WWF fan likes a good storyline, and it'd be cool to for years if it's just still like, and where's that superfractor? Like you will forget about it. It'll be like Topps Chrome 27, and we'll be thinking about that, and it's like, oh, by the way, remember the Ninja from 3 years ago, which is gonna feel like 10 years ago.
I wonder how much those packs are going to be eventually. Like how many of it? I think the same thing about the Series 1 boxes. Like how much of each could even be left at this point?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's crazy.
So the one of the things I love to think about, and part of this podcast is turning the VeeFriends story and the story of the community and the project into an oral history book. And one of the things that I think about a lot is the Malibu trip where they a bunch of them went and Gary created all the characters from and that's the footage that we see. Your recent trip to Gary's parents' house reminded me a lot of that. Not that like I was there. I just saw what everyone else saw, whatever you put out there. But I would love to touch on that as someone that followed Gary, and now you're in his parents' house at this powwow, which I don't know if it was just Topps Chrome or the future of cards. I mean, I'd like to think it was Topps Chrome, but I would love to hear your take on what you were thinking, feeling. Obviously, don't get yourself in any, don't share anything that you're not supposed to. But I would love to for you to riff on that for a couple minutes.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's not lost on me. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm no different than any of you guys in the community. Like, it's not lost on me like what an honor it is to be able to. I mean, not just Gary as a person, but also like just the team in general to be able to get away with the team and sit next to people who I respect so much and take a few days of learnings. I mean, think about like what somebody would do or pay or even whatever to get like that much time with not just Gary but his team of content creators and be able to make yourself that much better of a employee of a creator of so I mean not just that but also the bonding with the team and getting out like we were sleeping in bunk beds like in his
That's
parents'
amazing.
house. I mean it was funny like I'm 6'2", like I'm curled up on this bunk bed for 4 nights. And I actually, funny enough, dude, my plane was a disaster on the way up there. This is a funny story. I hadn't told anybody, but like The plane was like it was like remember we had there were like 4 plane crashes in like a week,
Oh yeah.
and I was in the air,
Oh
and
God.
like right when we took off, they made an announcement. They were like, "There's a lot of wind in Newark. We're just letting you know in advance. It's going to be a really rocky descent. So like, if anyone has to use the bathroom or anything, make sure you do that at least like an hour before the plane is scheduled to land because we're not going to let anybody get up for the last like hour of this flight." And I was like, "Fuck," because I don't do well with like turbulence. Like my stomach gets all messed up. So I'll spare you the details, but long story short, we get to like that hour outside the Newark, and the plane was literally like dropping. Like it was crazy. The turbulence, I've never had experienced anything like that on a plane, and it was going for like a good like 45 minutes. And for the first like 15, 20 minutes of it, it's like one thing. You're kind of almost like, I don't want to say laughing it off because it's not comfortable, but like it was not that concerning. But then like 40 minutes of that's a long time, man. Like
Sure.
it feels like forever. And people started getting sick. And I'll spare you the details, but like there were no bags or anything, so it just turned into the flight from hell. Like everyone was
Uh,
just like getting sick everywhere. And then I got sick, and then like when we got off the plane, finally they landed. I was like, thank God. And I got off the plane, and there were like doctors waiting there at the gate, and like like people were getting like I couldn't move. I texted Tyler and them. I was like, guys, I need like an hour at this airport to like decompress from what I just went through, and like I literally was dizzy. I was all messed up for like an hour. So then I get outside. I go to Gary. I go to the Uber to try to get to Gary's house, and like, dude, like where they were, there's like a lot of windy roads. It's like kind of like in the sort of in the middle of nowhere, out like all the way out there, and so I'm going around these windy roads, all plane sick still and everything, and I'm feeling like I'm about to puke. And so I'm walking to Gary's parents' house, and now I'm all like sick. I'm all like plane sick and like nauseous. So I get there and like, I just flew up from Florida. Like I'm trying to get to work, but like, dude, I just couldn't. I was nauseous. So they were really nice though, man. Gary's like, he made a place on the couch for me. He's like, come on, man, lay down. Sitting. He started making fun of me, which actually got me back to life. He's, told me I was this Jets player that shows up that didn't show up to big playoff games. He was calling me soft, basically. He's like, get up.
yeah,
So
that's
I did.
funny.
But anyway, funny stories aside, it was a great experience. I mean, it was crazy. It was 4 days of endless content, and we got a lot of content up, a lot of alpha out there, a better understanding of what's going on with this Tops product. It was great.
So, that was in February. We're talking right now on April 3rd. It's roughly a month out that it's dropping. From then on, it's been nonstop announcement, nonstop strategic teaser and a picture. It's been very, very Gary Vayner like. Are you planning that out there? Are you getting some direction as the marketing guy? Are your handprints on this? Like, we're dropping the Y2K on this day. How is that working? Because it's been phenomenal.
Team effort. Some great people that take care of all that. Sorry, my eye is tearing. I'm with little allergies. Tyler Dowdle, legend, legend, legend. Sets a lot of that stuff up. Bobby is in the mix with Tyler Dowdle a lot. He handles a lot of the scheduling and everything that what goes up. The creative team creates a lot of the graphics that go. Tyler and them, and helps out with the blogs, and it's a full team effort. It really
Mm.
is. We cut up sometimes some green screen videos potentially for Gary to make, or it's everybody's pitching in.
And are you and by the way, like there's a lot of brain power. I don't, and if you're just listening in, if you're watching live, like I the listen to the episode with Trouty, who's a legend and like
Legend.
very good at what he does. Andy, like most people don't know what Andy's resume, super impressive. You got Tyler's there. Tyler's been like super OG. You like obviously Gary. We know what that brings. Like, there's a lot of brain power at that table.
Zach.
Are you
Zach is
are you guys
legend.
mapping out Chrome in its entirety of all 3 years, or you just kind of focus on 2025? I know he's got a tour. I know there's big things happening at National and all that.
For now, it's really just getting this product out.
Got it.
For this product, there's a lot of other stuff going on as well. I mean, there's the comics, and there's a lot of other areas that are it's not just Chrome right now. We got a lot of stuff going on at once.
Right.
So it's not lost on me. The comics team is doing their thing, and there's just like you just saw, Burn Island just came. So it's like there's a lot of stuff going on all at once for sure. But there's a lot of thought, I believe, going into what's going on in 2026. Rips never stops thinking. For somebody his age, he blows my mind. He's so talented, man. Like for I don't even want to call him a kid. Like the guy's like polished, man, for his age. I was
Yeah.
there with Tyler when he was like 17 at the time, and was first starting to work with the company in Dallas. That was like one of the first Dallas car shows we went on to, and I remember meeting Rips. Impressive guy, man. His collection of memorabilia and autos and all that stuff is unbelievable. I mean,
Yeah.
and he
Rips is
acquired it all. I mean, he's got an eye for the stuff, and his a lot of his thoughts and everything are manifested into this Topps Chrome set. I remember when he first presented it and talked about all the different inserts and all the cool stuff that was going on in there. Just as a collector, I was so psyched about it. But be able to work and help promote it and help tell the stories of what was going on in his head when he came up with some of these ideas. And he's an impressive guy, man. He's got a bright future. I mean, talk about
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of Gary in him.
yeah, big time. I think that's why Gary loved him so much, is he probably sees a lot of himself in Rips.
Sure.
But to be so young and so talented and just motivated, and you know, it- I can't run out of adjectives that would describe how talented that guy is.
Yeah, just complete legend already. Even if he walked away today, he's done so much for this brand and the collectibles. And it used to be a department of one. He was the collectibles cards team at the beginning. So, is there a reason? And I'm gonna to wrap this little part up. Is there a reason that you guys rendezvoused at Gary? I mean, you could have went anywhere in the world. You could have went, to a nice. You could have went to the Four Seasons. Was there a reason why it was held at Gary's parents' house?
I honestly am not sure of the exact reason. I think that it was originally supposed to be in Miami, and then it got changed, but I don't know exactly why. Either way, I was pumped to do it. I mean, getting away and look, the comics team, they were out in like in like a log cabin somewhere in the
Yeah,
woods,
the
right?
woods.
So
Yeah.
like it's nice to get away. Look at what the Jets did. Remember when they went to Cortland because they wanted to get away, and like they did
Yep.
their training camp there, and just middle of nowhere. Sometimes it's nice to be in the middle of nowhere, no distractions. And look, that's the first time I've spent significant time with Gary's family, his mom, dad, nicest people in the world. I mean, it was
Mhm.
like it's funny because like you never stop being a parent, right? And like no matter how old your kids are, or their friends are, or their coworkers, or their employees, or whoever's over, like, don't leave the lights on in the room and walk out the door and have you're getting a lecture. So it was
That's a,
great. It was actually like it was fun, man. It was like being at like back home at my parents' place, kind of.
yeah, and that's a unbelievable segue for. I wanted to share. You've done a lot of great content, but my favorite piece of VeeFriends cards content over the last year, I'm gonna pull up right now. I think it is just so funny and Hall of Fame material. Let me pull it up here. Am I sharing my screen? So this is February 19th, 2025. You guys are ripping packs of ninja packs. I don't know why it's so slow. You guys are ripping packs of ninja packs, which you did often, I think, during that weekend. So here we go.
Rob, when I tell you I thought he had the superfractor, like so here's how it went down. I was in front of him, just like with Jaya. I was in front recording, and he opened that pack, and like the card kind of like lifted up slightly, so that like it's a silver metallic foil like blank on it. So like I saw kind of like you ever watch Pulp Fiction?
Yeah, of
You know when he
course.
opens up the case and like gold comes out, like
Yep.
gold light comes
Yep.
out?
Exactly.
Like that's what I saw coming off of this card, and I was like, that's why you hear me, and you actually hear me say, I think you got something. Like I whispered it, and I was like bracing myself because I was like, holy shit, this is either gold or this is gonna be the superfractor. And in my head, like I convinced myself it was gonna be the superfractor. So like it would have just been complete mayhem. But it was the gold, which was still an amazing thing. But the thing that people got to realize, and that like that I think is like really important, is like, dude, Gary, like at his core, more than anything else, like more than a businessman or anything else, I think like that guy loves collecting. Like he is
Yep.
a collector at heart, and he loves the game. Like he's just like any of us. We loves ripping packs, loves the game. So like pulling a big card to him is a big deal. Like it doesn't matter if it's his brand or if it's Panini, or if he pulls a Kaboom, or he pulls if he's with his kid and they pull a big Pokemon card, whatever. Like he loves the game just like we do. And so like that moment was genuine. Like we were in his parents' house and his parents are asleep and he pulled the card, and you're not
So
thinking
good.
about your parents who are asleep upstairs. You're just
Yeah.
reacting, holy shit, I pulled a fucking card. And so like that's the vibe. But then reality set in and he did the whole we're gonna get thrown out of here. And
So good.
it was a great moment. It was fun. You can't script that
Great
kind of stuff.
moment.
As a content creator, I mean, those are the best moments because they're natural.
You know, so good to think of who's there, and here's the creator of this thing, this mega millionaire, still having to like acting like a kid, like it's happy, to your point, what you just said, so happy to be in it, pulling something big, and then, the classic, like, my parents are sleeping, and just incredible moment.
Scared we're gonna get thrown out. It was a little too cold. It was so cold that weekend, man. I'm not. Florida has softened me up in a big way, man. I cannot do 16 degrees anymore. It's just my body does not do well with it. So I was up there. I couldn't wait.
Yeah,
As
that's
much as
right.
I was pumped to be with the crew and pumped to like, we had all kinds of fun stuff going on in the city afterwards. I was like, I can't wait to get back down to Florida where it's 80 degrees. It was cold.
Couple quick questions before we head to our last segment here, if you have time. In chat, if you have any questions for Jay, get them ready. I did rarely do this, but I asked Adam, I asked Mr. Rips, what should I ask Jay? He's coming on the podcast. What should I ask him? And he said, how many booms would you give VeeFriends cards?
5 big booms. Boom, 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 boom. Ba-ba-ba-ba.
Let's go. 5 out of 5. Um,
There you
I
go.
had a feeling that's where you were
I haven't
going.
made AJ proud. I definitely made Rips proud there.
And I like to play this thing, remember when. So I'm gonna throw out one or two moments, and I just want you to, just describe your emotions when you found out about it, or maybe a fun little quick story. Number one is the VCon official tournament. It's the first one where everyone, not everyone, but the bulk of the community is there. It's an official, it's sanctioned thing. People are playing the game. Thoughts on seeing it
Yeah, I mean,
live?
look, Gary, I think said it best, right? Like remembering the days when the community was just a small thing compared to like in a few years, hopefully, we all hope that like, there's all these new people that are onboarded and we're gonna try our best to make sure that happens. But like seeing this community, you know, the hardcore from the beginning OG people that were here even before me, right? Like way before me, and get together at any event. It doesn't have to be the tournament. It could be the Uno tournament. It could be VCon. It could be, the national, wherever. It's always special. So like, but yeah, it was really cool, man. It was, I think that the tournament at Comic Con, you know, there's just something special about those things, man. I can't even put it into words, honestly. It's like, because when I go to those things, what my mind does is it like kind of like tries to fast forward to like the thought of like what's going to be like if VeeFriends can become the next Pokemon 20 years from now. And we look back on this night and we're like, remember when it was just 50 of us in this tiny little room, and now there's
Mhm.
like 5,000 people playing this tournament in some convention center ballroom, right? And like, it's Ryan Johnson talks about it all the time. He has the biggest trade night of the national. Now it takes like, after one of the nights of the national, everybody goes to Ryan Johnson's trade night, and it's like, 50,000. It's like crazy. Like the line is like 2 hours long out the door. You can't even get in if you don't get there like hours early and wait online. And like he always talks about like how amazing that is, but like he loves to talk about like the first and second trade nights that he put together where there was like just a couple hundred people, and it was like,
Right.
and how crazy it is that like it started as that and look at what it's become now. And so like it inspires me, man, to like to help get it to that point. And but at the same time there's just something special about the first few and the people who really 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 believe from the beginning, and seeing that kind of competition and just positive vibes, and like how great it was when seeing the finals and Soggy win it, my partner in Focused Falcon Crime. Meanwhile,
Yep.
Soggy, you can win all the tournaments you want, but I am not giving up on the Falcon. And you're gonna have. I've been letting you for years get away with the Series ones and the Series twos and the pins and the stickers. Not with Chrome, sir. We're gonna be battling on eBay and those Focused Falcon. If a
Let's
Focused Falcon Game On pops up, we're battling.
let's go. We
We're
we might have to
battling.
send you guys to the V Dome.
That's right.
He's probably hounding you for those specs. You
Only been
said you
around
had
one
two
and a half
specs.
years, but you've been around longer than me, so I've been around for a year.
The last quick remember when, bring me to the moment where you found out about the PSA collaboration. Front of the magazine, rarity covers, everyone's getting a sticker, the whole deal. Because that's a big moment.
Big moment. Big moment. Specifically because it like opens up the community to a more mainstream collecting community. I think that like I love CGC. I've been using CGC. Like I can show you articles that I wrote about CGC when they first came out. When or not when they first came out, but when they first started doing sports cards, and I started writing articles about them on 1:37 p.m. I think they do a great job. I think that PSA, I mean, just if you look at the numbers, it speaks for themselves. They're the top dog in the sports card world, right? So like, and CGC has a lot more, does a lot more, TCG cards and a lot
Yep.
of Lorcana and Pokemon and stuff like that. But like, is starting to get a lot of sports cards as well. But I think it's safe to say that like PSA is definitely a little bit different of a demo than what we've been seeing with the CGC stuff with the grading. And it'll be nice to to open it up to that kind of mainstream audience that even if they didn't necessarily love VeeFriends before, maybe getting a sticker or maybe getting a magazine with a cover and reading the article and actually taking their time to learn a little bit about VeeFriends instead of just going in with like a um conceived notion of what VeeFriends is and stuff like that. I think can only be a good thing. It's going to be great. And we've look. I mean, just look at if you go to a PSA post before and the PSA post after anything they talk about with VeeFriends. You look at like the engagement in the VeeFriends post is unbelievable. Like the whole community is going in there and they're trying to alert the rest of the world. Hey, we've arrived and but there's a serious community here of collectors that really loves the product, and come learn from us and see what it's all about. I think anybody who gets involved with the VeeFriends community is going to love it. I mean, there's nothing not to like about the VeeFriends community. Everybody's so
Right.
supportive. I mean, I saw what was going on that you got gifted. I mean, I've been doing a little research on your stuff as well, Rob, so I can come in prepared. So you got a couple nice gifts, the NFTs and everything. I mean, this is just it's an amazing community. People show up to Comic Con and VCon with gifts, and everyone's dressed up, and you see the repurposed packs and the vests, and you see the all kinds of custom gear, and people just love it, man. And it's a fun community. So I really hope that even if the who knows how many people are reading the post over there on PSA, but like let's say we can convert 5% of those people into like being interested in what we're doing. That would be a significant number of people. So, that's the
For
hope.
one drop, for one collaboration, one magazine, yeah, that's very substantial.
Yeah.
So cool. I know you're a Focus Falcon guy, but a question I like to ask everyone: what V friend do you need to spend more time with? In other words, what trait do you need to soak up a little bit more?
Well, trait that I need to soak up a little more. I need to give that some thought. I'm going to get back to you in a minute. But the one that I'm really curious and about to start getting into in a major way is Driven Dragon, because I went to Drexel University and they were the Drexel Dragons. And
Oh,
so
okay.
I really want to like fall in love with the Driven Dragon. I got to get myself a 555 Driven Dragon t-shirt first of all. That t-shirt is sick. I don't know why I didn't get involved and purchase that, but like now it's going to cost me money. I'm going to have to go to eBay and buy one on the secondary and that's life. But I'm pumped about that. The one that I need, let me get back to you on that, Rob. It's gonna be hard. I gotta give that some thought because I don't want to give you the
No,
wrong answer. But yeah. Well,
no worries. And we'll do a VFam all call and get you a Driven Dragon.
it's almost the reverse of how you would normally approach that, right? Because like most people want to look like associate themselves with like the Driven Dragon. I feel like I'm really driven, and like the Focused Falcon is kind of similar to Driven. Like I try to stay focused. That comes from because I have a little bit of ADHD. So when I start a task, I know myself. I'm self aware enough to know that like if I don't stay focused, if I let my mind wander and like start thinking about something else, sometimes the task doesn't get done. So I need to stay focused in my thing. So that's why I really associated with the Focused Falcon. That might actually be the answer because I need to stay
I
focused. But
I'm with you 4,000%. I need the Focus Falcon to live on my shoulder. In my world, I'm totally with you. Jay, this has been awesome. If it's okay, I'd like to do one, possibly two more quick segments with you. I'm having so much fun, but really, like, I think you know it's part of the reason why I do this podcast is to really learn. I'm a sucker for origin stories, especially good people that end up in Gary's world. And really appreciate all the perspective and the hard work that you've been doing to make this what it is. And thank you, obviously, for coming on and
of
doing this.
course, appreciate you having me
Can't
on.
wait to chop it up IRL. So real quick, this is called Micro Macro Spitfire. I'm going to throw a quick like rapid fire at you, and you can answer really one quick one word answer in the macro, or take out your microscope and elaborate why. So here we go. Micro Macro Spitfire with Jay Koeppel, VeeFriends cards. Favorite teacher you had growing up and one reason why.
Okay, definitely. His name was Mr. P, Mr. Paglucci, I believe. He was in Ridgewood High School. He was my graphic design teacher. I had a real, again, back to the focus. I had a really hard time because I was kind of ADHD in school. My grades were terrible, similar to Gary in a sense, where like I was an awful student, but I was great. I would get like, I was smart, but I just couldn't really stay focused in class. So like I didn't do the homework, stuff like that. Anyway, long story short, I loved art. So like my graphic design teacher in Ridgewood High School owned a place called Ridgewood Press. And he said to me, you really love this stuff. Like, if you want after school, I'll teach you a little bit about the business. You can come work for me and, just work around the shop.
Ah,
And I was like, hell yeah, man, let's do it. So after school, I worked for him from like 4 to 6 every day until they closed up, just kind of like hanging out on the printing press floor. And he's the reason why I went to Drexel University to study graphic design because he got me so into graphic design. And then, I own a printing company and like for 20 years afterwards. So definitely Mr. P. He was a great dude. And I wonder if he's even still alive. Probably not, but that actually makes me sad to think about. But he took me under his wing. He was a great dude.
I love that. That's fantastic. Favorite Mets moment in your life.
Okay, so I was at the World Series in 1986 when I was 7 years old with my grandfather. I still have the tickets hanging up on my wall.
That's
So
amazing.
that was amazing. But I would say probably my favorite one in 2015. I was at Wrigley Field in the NLCS Game 4 when they swept the Cubs. I was in the front row. Terry Collins sprayed me with champagne after the game.
Whoa, that's so
We were
cool.
standing right there, right in the front row behind the dugout. It was quite a moment. They made the World Series. So, yeah, that was my definitely my favorite Mets moment. I mean, there have been a
The only
lot though, honestly. Some of those moments from last year's run. I mean, David
Yeah.
Wright's home run. David Wright. Pete Alonso's home run. I said David Wright. Pete Alonso's home run to tie up that game was crazy, dude.
Yeah,
Crazy,
that
crazy.
all time to on the David Wright thing. The only time I've ever gotten emotional at a sports game, sports event, is when Game 3 in 2015 when he hit the home run. It was the first game at Citi Field, that World Series,
Yeah,
and all that he went through. I was a David Wright guy
dude, that was
through and through.
that home run was that was a moment. That was definitely a
Still gives
moment.
me chills. I still watch it. I have it saved. I still watch that home run often. It's such a moment. If you're picking a sport to get into right now, which would you get into? UFC cards or soccer?
So I would probably say UFC myself, only because like I want to get into soccer. And when the World Cup happens, it's weird. Like I flip a switch. I turn into the biggest US soccer fan of all time. And then I forget about it for 4 years until the next World Cup starts. But like I'm just not that into I know Tyler loves soccer. And I think I still have a couple
Yeah,
soccer
yeah,
cards, but I don't know, man. I just can't get into it for some reason, like as a regular thing. I enjoy watching UFC more than I enjoy watching soccer. And so, like they say, collect what you love, right? So, Josh Emmett, big fan of Josh Emmett. He's fighting this weekend, actually. I mean, we've made content with him before. He's a Vayner Sports guy, and he's the main
yeah.
event on Saturday night. So, I'm pumped about that. For those who don't know Josh Emmett, just Google Josh Emmett knockout, and I promise you, he had one of the best UFC knockouts in the history of the sport. It was brutal, but the guy's a legend, man. I love Josh Emmett, and he's a huge card collector. He actually has a card collecting Instagram page and all that, and we're gonna make some future content with him. So yeah, that'd be my call. I would go buy Josh Emmett cards right now, but I'm not telling anyone else what to do. I'm talking about for myself. I'll buy some
Not financial advice.
exactly.
Wine, beer, or coffee?
So I don't really love like I drink some wine, but I don't really love wine. The problem with wine is it gives me like a little bit of like heartburn sometimes, and so like I don't it's like a little acidic for me. Um,
I get that.
so I have a hard time like I have a really like I told you before the flying. I have a little bit of a sensitive stomach, so I got to watch out with the wine. Um, Beer, I'm not like a beer snob though. So like I don't drink like fancy beers. I drink like when I drink beer, I drink like Bud Lights and I really enjoy those. They're delicious and they're refreshing. But I do like sour beers a little bit. I don't know if you ever had like a good sour beer, like a Goza. I enjoy those. But probably my answer would be coffee. I do love coffee. I love my cold brew. I love my iced coffee, a little almond milk with
All
cold
right.
foam.
Liking them all is okay too. Favorite concert you've ever been to?
Man, this is a tough one. I've been to a lot of fun concerts. Okay, I know the answer. 311 Cypress Hill Far Side when I was in high school. One of the best concerts definitely the best
Throwback.
concert I ever went to. 311 was like up and coming. They were like opening act for it was Far Side and was first, 311 second, and then Cypress Hill tore
That's
it
so close.
up.
Wow.
That
I would have
show
guessed
was so
311 was the closer.
yeah, well, that was before 311 was huge. It was like they were just getting popular. This was probably
Got it.
1996, something like that. That's probably my answer.
Well,
There have been a lot of other really fun concerts, but I mean, that thing was crazy. And also, I was in high school. We were like sneaking weed in the place.
yeah.
It was crazy.
Nothing beats a concert in high school.
Yeah, that was at Roseland Ballroom. It's a good time.
Legendary.
Yeah,
Favorite 90s movie?
Goodfellas.
Okay. And, you've followed Gary, you've worked with Gary, you've been at his childhood home. What's one learning or takeaway that you've had from working in his world?
Hmm. One learning. Oh, okay, so I would say I've probably spent too much time until like recently. I've done a lot of reflecting on this. I don't do this really anymore, but like, social media kind of like, responding and allowing like negative comments on social media to really affect you. I think that like consuming his content, listening to like why are you letting the 1% of people who, are giving you shit in your comments consume so much of your thoughts and time when you're getting so much love from so many other people, like tune it out. So like I would say, years ago, especially with like related to like the Jets and stuff like that, get into like arguments on like ridiculous topics with people that I didn't even know for no reason. And now it's like, I think I've been much like calmer and you know, more zen in that approach on social media nowadays, where I just kind of like post and have fun.
I love that. Um,
I think you're asking me like as a person, not as like his employee, just as like overall.
yeah. No,
As like an employee, I mean, the amount of learnings that I've taken as like, and the amount of growth I think as an employee, from my time at 1:37 p.m. until where I'm at right now at VeeFriends. I mean, this team is something else, man. It's special, and I don't take it for granted that I get to work alongside such talented people on a daily basis and be able to learn from them and soak it all up like a sponge. It's so much fun. Some people like playing video games and like, or painting or whatever. Like I'm fortunate enough that like my job is like what I would do for fun. Like I really seriously enjoy this shit. So like, it makes it really easy, and my goal is to like, like I was saying before, to get better and better and better as, you know, as the days go on. So like, looking back on stuff that from where I was a year ago, 2 years ago, 4 years ago to where we are now, those learnings I think speak for themselves, and that's directly attributed to like Gary, his teachings, everybody underneath him, and then me, from all the stuff that I've soaked up from all
I
of it.
love it. Well, I mean, it definitely shows. The last thing I'd want to challenge you in is a VeeFriends collectibles draft. So here, if you're willing to
Of
participate,
course.
here we go. So you're putting together a lineup of five. You're putting together a starting five. Your head coach is Waldo Geraldo Faldo from Family Matters. I just need a quick team name. Jay's
Can I
what?
ask you a
You can
question?
go
Why
with
why'd Waldo get the spot there?
just he's an unsung hero.
He really
I
is.
figured
He was a great
I
character.
I figured you'd want him as a coach.
He could be
Uh,
my coach any day.
I need a quick team name.
Chase Focus Falcons.
Jay's Focus Falcons. All right, so you were the. I'm gonna go Rob. I like alliteration. Mine's Kenny. My coach is Kenny from Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
Another great movie. Dishes are done, man.
Yes. Oh, I'm so happy you just dropped that line. All right, radical. Rob's radical rhombuses. Okay, I like alliteration. So here's what we need to do, Jay. You're drafting a team. You need this is all still from the generic Canva. So you need one series one card in your lineup, one series two card, one miscellaneous,
And
and you'll see
this
that in
is
a second.
characters, or this is like any card?
This I'm going to give you a
Okay,
draft
I got
pool,
you. I got you. I got
and then you have two flex spots. All right.
you.
So in your lineup, you need one series one card, one series two card, a miscellaneous. We'll call that the third spot, and then two flexes could be anything. I'm going to give you the first pick. All the Series 1 cards are in this top row. Series 2 are in the second row, and all the miscellaneous spots are in the third row. So it might be a little tricky to see. So we have a Dialed In Dog, PSA 9 Auto. That's a diamond. Series 1 Gold, Diamond Hand 10. That's a 9 as well.
That's a
A
fire card
rare,
right there, by the way. That Diamond Hands 10 Gold.
rare, a rare 9 PSA Patient Panda. A PSA 9 Epic added to Benevolent Barn Owl, and then a CGC 9 Gold Heart Trooper. Down here we have a Diamond Perfect Persian Cat Series 2. That's a 9. 9 Rare Fearless Fairy. Core PSA 10 Gary B. CGC 9 Gift Ghost. Old School, Old Label CGC 9 Core Black Cat. And then down here we have the Black Allen and Ginter. Gem Mint 10 Gary Rookie. That's in the black. The Uno PSA 10. We have a what is this, green? Ninja, let's call it green. I don't remember the rarities, but CGC 9. The OG sticker from the 2023 National.
Shout out
Uh,
Dalton.
Shout out Dalton, right? And then the Y2K Black Cat
Sheesh.
base. All right, you're going to get
This
first
one.
pick.
All right, so I'm gonna get first pick from Series 1, then you're getting a Series 1.
No, you can go wherever you want. If you want to go Series 1 first,
Oh,
some
okay.
may think that's a grail. but we're going snake. So you're going to be first pick, and then I get two, and then you get two, until we fill out a lineup.
This is actually tougher than what you would think, but I think that I have to. Oh God, this is all right. I think I know where I'm going with this with my first pick. With my first
This,
pick, give me the 101 Perfect Persian Cat, Series 2.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
From Series 2,
Yes, sir.
Zig when they zag. All right, so we're going to put this Waldo Geraldo Faldo. He likes one of ones.
Waldo was never one to go with the standard pick. I'm a little worried about if you're gonna steal my next one because you have two picks now, but we'll see where you go.
Yeah,
I'm curious.
this is okay. I mean, I feel like you can't go totally wrong here. I think I have to lock up a
Damn.
9 with a 10 auto.
I was
One of
That's where I was gonna go with my first pick because now not only did I lose out on a Series 1 auto, but also Courtney's gonna hate me tomorrow.
Yeah. And Dialed In Dog, like that's one of those popular
I
characters that
know.
probably gonna see a lot of content time.
I know. I still
And
feel good about
now,
my pick though.
see, everything in me wants to take a cat because I don't want to lose a cat, but I think I don't. It's hard to turn down a Grail. I gotta take the Heart Trooper.
I'm
I
very
just got to.
excited that you did that. That excites
I
me.
got to for my flex.
That excites me. I'm actually excited here.
Okay, so now you get two,
I
and I'm
know.
scared what's gonna be left.
Okay. So obviously, I'm going right now. As Gary said, no collection is complete without a gift goat. So I'm going to take the gift goat right now.
Yeah.
And then because I don't, I'll let you pop it over there.
All right. So that's going in your
Yeah.
flex.
And because I don't have a Series 1 yet, I think the best one of those is probably the Diamond Hands Hen Gold. So let's go with that. Actually, it's tough. Yeah, I'm going with Diamond Hands Hen. I'm going to stick with my original gut.
It's hard not to take a spec from Series 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
It's
have to.
really hard.
Yeah,
I know what's on the
but
board.
now I feel really good with what's left because I feel really good about my next spot. I'm just hoping you don't
Okay.
do what I think you're
I'm
going to do.
I'm going to go. Okay. I need a series 2. I gotta lock up that spot. So I gotta take a cat.
Black Cat Core. I like it. All right, now I'm
I
getting
mean,
nervous that you might pick.
I don't want to get stuck with the like I love Gary B is my favorite character, but I can't I I mean,
I'm nervous now.
if there's a black cat on the board, I gotta lock it up. Okay, so I'm gonna put that in my 2 slot. Old school label, by the way. All right, so now I have to go robot
Shit.
sticker.
You know,
I got it.
it's all Bobby's fault because I was gonna go. I feel like that was gonna get there, but then Bobby had to start blowing up the rare robot sticker in the chat.
Did he?
Yeah, look at him. He's saying no rare robot, Jay. And I was
Wait,
like,
Bobby?
chill, Bobby. Yeah, Bobby's in the chat.
Bobby's here. What's up, Bobby?
Bobby, you got to keep a low profile, homie. Like that's all right.
All right,
I still
so
feel good about what I'm about to pick here.
now you get 2 in a row.
Yo, I'm pumped about that because I'm feeling good.
I'm having a better draft than my last time.
Okay,
I think
this one's very clear to me what I'm about to do right now. Y2K Black Cat's coming in the mix.
yeah, you gotta have a cat in your lineup.
Yep,
All right, so that's your 3 spot, and you're gonna finish your lineup right now.
yep. I know exactly where I'm going because there's no chance that I'm not leaving with these choices. With is that Ginter signed or is that just a base Ginter?
That's the black. I think it's out of 10.
Ooh. Nah, I'm still sticking to it. Patient Panda Series 1.
Yeah, yeah. If you
I
didn't, I
feel
would have
really
taken
good
that.
about my lineup right now.
That's a
That's a
that is a
solid draft.
that's a fire. If you're getting
It's a fire
a
draft.
patient panda S1 with your 5th pick, okay. And where am I going? I'm going to round this thing out I am going to go. I love epics. I got to go with the Uno Gary B.
Wow. The
The
Uno Gary B
PS8.
was a chase. I don't think that there's some people out there that remember just how hot those Uno sets were when they first came out. Dude,
Well,
I remember
they,
buying
yeah.
those
I
things.
mean,
I only bought like three of them, and then like I remember looking on eBay like that night, and they were selling for like $1,000 or something crazy like that. It was awesome.
it was the first. It was the first thing that was like affordable
Yeah,
as far as a card product because it was Series One. Um, and then that.
I remember those.
All right, so guys, what do we think, chat? Do we think Jay's Falcons, coached by Waldo Geraldo Faldo, he's got the gold. Look at the one of ones up there. The gold Diamond Hands Hen, the perfect Persian, Mint 9 spec, the Y2K, shout out DJ Kaufman, Black Cat, things fire, the gift go, and the panda. Wow, Jay, you did work here. You had a great
Yo,
draft.
is the that's a good question that not so savvy. I didn't even notice. Is that a Ninja? Was that a base?
All right. The Ninja was not a base. Let me blow it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. Is it green?
It's at a 99,
Yeah.
the green.
Yeah, but I still feel good about it, honestly. I mean,
I mean, you
maybe
had a great draft.
I don't know if the. Do you think the? See, my only thing I might trade out, I guess maybe, would be that Ninja Green for the Y2K. But still, I don't even know like those Y2Ks might be hot. Like those are case
Yeah.
hits.
I mean, you're right. You locked up the two top Series 2, which is what you did.
Yeah.
I mean, but I can't be mad about having a black cat.
You have a black cat, and you also have the only Series One auto. You have dialed in dog like that. You got the
Yeah.
top. You had the second pick, but you got the in potentially the best card, most likely the best card.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel what really puts me over is my coach. Just one of the best turnaround stories of all
That's
time.
right.
From being a stoner to just getting it all together by the end of the movie.
Yeah, he was all dressed up and catering that beautiful party with that woman from Vassar. They turned the pool.
You're
They
good.
they like cleaned out the pool. They turned it into like a catwalk. What a great movie that was. The guy driving
Fantastic.
around in his like fast food truck. The kids nowadays
Yeah,
would never understand that movie, Rob. It would make no sense to them.
no, I know. What was the name of the something dog? Mighty Dog? Not Mighty.
I forget.
Bobby says, so hyped for tomorrow. Can't wait for noon.
Oh my God. I'm giving no alpha away, but I will say this. Like I told you before, the best is yet to come.
Yep. I
Just wait till
I saw
tomorrow.
the quote tweet and I'm looking at something cool on my phone. Bobby, you missed your roses before. You're doing a great job. I've said that, but Jay said it too on the record.
1000%.
This is super fun. If anybody have any last minute
Mhm.
questions for Jay before we let him go, you've been so gracious with your time. I really appreciate you. Bobby, we got to get you on this show. Uh, Super cool. Like it's been really, really fun to have like a little announcement, something to talk about. Maybe it's alpha, maybe it's not. I have one.
God, that
Jay, how do you
is
feel
true.
about fumbling the duck auto?
Dude, that's a good point that Bobby brings up.
What I don't know the story behind that.
At one point, I owned the one of one Decisive Duck Series 1 auto. And I brought it to the National, and I forget who collects Decisive Ducks, but it was before I worked for VeeFriends. It was when I had the Card Talk booth at the National, and I had my Decisive Duck in there. Somebody offered to buy it, and I was like, I'm not selling it unless, like, I don't even remember how much I was trying to get for it. And it never happened. And then I think the original collector hit me up and was like, yo, I want that card. We made a deal. We ended up making a deal. I didn't even.
Probably
I honestly sold it for less than I wanted to sell it for. I just, I wanted to be part of his collection. But I think now, I think that guy sold it. Funny enough, I think he. Oh well.
I know one duck guy. AT is I think widely known as the duck guy, but there might be others.
Yeah, I don't remember what.
Sagi says, Jay, what size dragon tee do you need?
XL, need one. Happy to pay for it too. Just let me
XL.
know what I owe you.
Sagi Sagi knows how to get
My
things.
God,
Sagi is Morgan Freeman from Shawshank Redemption.
my God.
And Savvy says, if you could meet any VeeFriends animal in real life, which one would you
Bro,
choose?
I've met a lot of the animals in real life. Those are my favorite people to make content with is Animal Adventures. What a great place. If anyone is in the South Florida area, you need to stop by Animal Adventures. They first of all, a better community like there we have amazing community members, but like there might be as good as those guys, but there's none better. Like they're great people and they literally wear VeeFriends gear, like the entire staff does for all the tours and everything. They wear like they have moral monkeys, they have monkeys there, they have kangaroos, they have the Kindred kangaroo shirts, they have zebras, they have dude, it's crazy this zoo. They have otters. That's where I film all that content with the otters. So my favorite animal by far is if I could meet one, I already did. It's the optimistic otter, Junior. That is my favorite animal I think I've ever seen in my life, besides my beautiful cats back here. You know, the funny thing is, the last time I was there when we were filming content, ooh, did I leave? Are we still
You're
here,
here.
Rob?
Yeah, I'm here. You're here.
Weird. I got a error message on my, but I'll keep talking. They the otter he like chomped my ankle. He was just being friendly. He was all fired up. He was running around.
Like a playful bite.
Yeah, he had the zoomies, but like I wasn't looking, I wasn't paying attention. He ran up behind me, and just bit my ankle, and then he like looked at me with like a little attitude, and I was like, Junior, what's up with that, man? Didn't break any skin or anything like that. He was just messing around.
Being playful.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple at the zoo here that we love to see because they always chase each other back and forth.
But the monkeys and the zebras and the kangaroos there are crazy. But I don't know. It's a good question. I think you know what? Here's my answer. If I could meet one animal, the three-horned harpic, man, let's get him. I want to meet a three-horned
Three-horned
harpic.
harpic. I'm curious when I think, 'cause, I mean, you have to think, common sense says that like all of the 100 Chrome characters are going to get a bump in popularity. So I'm interested to see what happens with like the fan favorites now that aren't in the set, like the Harpics, because and I don't know who's coming out in the comics or the cartoons, but it's interesting.
There's always
Big Harpic
VeeFriends
guy.
Chrome 2026,
That's right. That's
2027.
right.
Like LeBron said,
Awesome.
not one, not two, not three. Right? Hopefully there'll be a lot.
Are you going to be in at Collecticon? You gonna be there?
I'll be at Collecticon. I will be in Ohio. I will be at the National. I'll be at Fanatics Fest. I'll be at Comic Con. I'll be at all of it. Excited.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm
And,
excited.
I'm rooting. I'll be quietly rooting for a Card Talk Pod reunion show.
Dude, nobody is rooting for that more than me. Because the sad part about it is the guy still, I think still would love to do it. It's just, it's tough, man. With everybody's schedules and everyone kind of in different directions at this point. It's kind of hard, man, to get like everybody together at the same time.
Right.
If the cards, if everything aligns, the stars align, and everybody's in Ohio together, I'm sure we'll be able to do something fun. And I
Yeah.
would love nothing more than to get that thing up. It'd be fun.
Awesome. Well, I know a lot of people would love it, and it'd be a lot of great content. Ryan's on my list. I'm gonna shoot my shot with him eventually. I never wanted to do it like just cold DM. So maybe I'm thinking I'm gonna get to Orlando if he's there. If not, maybe National.
Definitely he'll definitely be at the national. It's too bad, man. Come out to Ohio, do it in person.
Yeah. Well, one day. I got a lot of 55 years is a long time. I got time.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, Jay, thank you so much for coming on chat. Thank you so much, VFam. Next week we have Hi Anthony coming on, the Empty Elephant
Legend in the
himself.
community.
He's got a book coming out this coming week. Rumors are swirling that it's number one on some lists, some pre-orders. He's doing some cool giveaways. If you grab his audiobook, the man himself will be here next week on a live VFam session as well. Jay, this was so fun. Great to hear the stories and the legend of Jay and how he got to where he is today.
Just continuing the story day by day, Rob. It's such a pleasure to be here, and like I said, I mean, nobody out there, I know everyone in the community is rooting for the team, and we're all rooting for the same outcome, is just to turn this thing into something huge, and help Gary get this thing across the finish line, and we're getting closer and closer by the day. It really feels like momentum is picking up, and the energy is real, and the community is real, and just can't wait to get this product out there so that everyone can see how much work went into it and how fun it is. It's going to be a lot of fun making content around just the community polls and all the user generated content that we love to share, and just can't wait.
Gonna be super fun. The Topps Chrome before Topps Chrome era is coming to an end. Watch out. All right, Jay, we will talk soon. Thank you, VFam, and have a great night.